First of all, my name's Kenny Kyle, and I'm with TMC Transportation. We are a nationwide company, and I'm actually talking from our office at Iowa State University Research Park in Ames. And I have with me Mandy Youngberg. She is in Des Moines. Mandy is with our HR department. We do have a little presentation that we want to, I'll share a screen here with you. So basically just to talk about career opportunities, levels of education that are needed for those career opportunities. And, you know, this is for TMC, of course, but it's fairly similar for most trucking companies. What's available. We're a large trucking company. We have about 3,000 trucks out there, and a lot of people in a lot of different offices around the country working. So some careers with TMC. So there's office, there's shop, and appearance bay, and we're talking about Iowa here. So office in offices, accounting, customer service, operations, logistics, software developers. In the shop, mechanics and technicians. In our appearance bays, technicians. And then there's different levels of education that are required, you know, for each one. And I'll let Mandy talk a little bit about those.
Yeah, so for all of our positions, we'll take people from any sort of background. So, you know, some positions might be a little more entry level for somebody to get their foot in the door, where maybe we're just looking for a high school diploma to an associate's degree, and they can come in and work their way up. There are some positions where we would look for a bachelor's degree, like in our software developers. We want them to have some educational background to bring with them. In operations or logistics, we like to see a bachelor's degree in, you know, supply chain management, business, marketing, sales. They're a little bit higher level positions that we want somebody to have that education to support them. And then in our shop, you know, we actually have taken students that are in high school, right out of high school, students that are at DMAC doing the diesel mechanic program. So those positions are really great. The appearance is a really great place to start. We have high school students working in that role right now, and they can progress as they go. So typically somebody would start as an appearance technician, and then they would move to working with our trailers, which is some entry-level mechanics, some welding, and then if somebody is really interested, they can keep training and then move into a truck mechanic position. So we even have a program with DMAC, where if someone's in the diesel mechanic program, they can apply for our DMAC scholarship, where TMC actually will cover the expenses of that diesel mechanic program, and they'll essentially be getting almost internship, real life work experience with us, and then they can stay on when they finish working full time with us as well.
Okay. Where our office in Ames is at the Iowa State University Research Park, and we have it here to offer internships to students. The majority of our students who are doing internships here are doing a bachelor's in supply chain, in marketing, or MIS. That's the majority of them, but we do have some people who do other majors. People doing a 4-level degree, as Mandy was saying, you know, you come out of that and step into a very good job in transportation. Either here in Ames or in our other offices, which could be Des Moines or other locations around the country. You know, we obviously encourage everybody to go on for their education after high school. But as Mandy said, we will take people right out of high school with certain careers as well. And one thing is when you're with TMC, there's always opportunities to move on up the ladder. You start in one field and move on into other fields as we go along. Driving careers, not something that you can do straight out of high school because there's age restrictions on that. But later on, we will actually take people and train them, teach them how to drive, get them through their CDLs. You can see the pictures up there. That's our simulator room in Ankeny, where you can drive a truck without actually having to go out on the road. But of course, we will put you in a real truck as well, teach you on the yard, teach you on the road, get you your CDL, and then give you a driving job right afterwards as well. It's a great way to see the country and get a lot of different experiences, and at the same time get paid for doing so. Age restrictions on that, obviously you can't do it straight out of high school.
Hi, I'm Adam with TMC. I will talk to that one.
Are you guys getting the audio for that?
It's a little soft.
Yeah, TMC, we drive Peterbilt. Oh, we drive Peterbilt 579 for the chrome bumpers and visors and grill. The chrome F's in the mirrors. Not chrome, it's actually plastic, but damn, it looks good. You got chromed out stacks on the sides of that truck. Wait a minute, do I hear one of our trucks coming in? Look at that. Every single truck on the fleet, all these lights, even that little light up there lights up the logo. So I'm gonna put you in this chromed out black truck here. Now inside of that truck has leather interior, XM satellite, TV player, TV radio, 22-inch television, direct satellite TV, Bluetooth, USB ports. There's actually a 10-inch subwoofer. Safety? Of course it's got safety features. Forward-looking radar, collision warning control, anti-lock, anti-roll traction control. And all right, it's got all the features. Yeah, I'm rambling on here. You know what? Check us out. TMCFrams.com. You'll see our equipment. Take care.
So just to give you a little look at some of the equipment that we have, we buy the best equipment that's out there and try to give everybody very good equipment to work with. Safety is number one concern for us, but like I say, going on to being a driver, it's a great career, and it's definitely something that people should think about. We work with a lot of high schools, universities, trying to create internships and careers for people. TMC's been around for a long time, for almost 50 years now. We try to do some fun things and really make it enjoyable learning as people move on into their careers. We also try to get a lot of fun activities for employees and students as well whenever we can. This picture here is from Newton Raceway for watching our car race in the Xfinity Series. That is the end of the presentation. I don't know if you want to go on to any questions now or.
That'd be great. Yeah, we'll jump into questions. And I don't know if you have more, if you want to stop sharing your screen or keep sharing your screen.
I don't have any more, so I will get out of sharing now and give you back the screen.
Terrific. Okay. So you did a great job of sharing with us all the different types of jobs that are available within transportation. If a student was thinking about a career in transportation, tell me a little bit about the future outlook for the transportation industry. What are you expecting to have a really high demand for in the future? Or what do you see that looking like in the coming years?
Great question. So, and I get this a lot from different universities and high schools. Everybody thinks the trucks are going to be driving around themselves in a few years' time. That's not really the case. I mean, in one case, things are definitely becoming more autonomous. And, possibly 10 years from now, we might have some trucks picking up, in a yard and then delivered to another yard. But I've yet to find a robot that can load a truck and tarp a load or strap down a load or anything like that. So we're always going to have jobs for drivers for a long time to come. We're always going to have jobs in sales and jobs in all sorts of mechanics and technicians because, again, we're several generations away from trucks being able to fix themselves. Things are definitely going to change in the future, but there are always going to be jobs in this industry.
Fantastic. So I saw the race car, and is that something too? Are there like specialty types of transportation that you all do? Just curious about that. I think I know somebody who might do some transportation for racing, but curious about those different specialty avenues in terms of short distance, long distance, specialty, all of those sorts of things that you do.
So TMC, we're all over the country. We also have a lot of dedicated operations. Other trucking companies are the same. Some trucking companies will just be local. Some of them will be all over the country. We run 48 states plus Canada, the eastern part of Canada. But other trucking companies will go everywhere. We also do a lot of dedicated operations where it will be local or regional work. Our logistics department handles freight all over the country and internationally as well. So, for example, in this office today, we had somebody dealing with moving loads of sand and dump trucks in Texas, somebody moving loads of chickens in reefer trucks, somebody moving flatbed loads of building materials. Again, very, very diverse transportation. A lot of different things, a lot of things to learn in transportation. Something that we do in our internships here is teach everybody about geography and about transportation, the different types of transportation and the different types of trailers they need, the commodities, everything like that. There is a lot to learn as you move into this business.
I've heard somebody say about transportation and trucking that it's basically a computer going down the road. That it's just the technology is so advanced in terms of these trucks. Can you talk a little bit about the technology that's involved in the transportation industry?
Well, a little bit like your car these days. You buy a modern car, it steers you back into the lane if you don't put your blinker on to change lanes. It'll slow you down if you come up behind another vehicle. Trucks are like that as well. They have a lot of safety features built into them. A car getting into an accident can be very serious. A truck getting into an accident is usually very serious. So we are very, very safety conscious. Technology in the trucks is improving all the time. Fuel economy from the trucks is improving all the time. And the air that comes out of the stacks in our truck is actually cleaner than the air that gets taken into the engine. So that's come on a long way. You don't see trucks going down the road, or you don't see modern trucks going down the road anymore, spewing out black smoke like they used to, So we're definitely coming on a long way. As far as technology in our office, we have fantastic software. We have our own IT department that do our software development. And we have one thing actually that we'll be doing for University of Wisconsin and for Iowa State University this year is presenting our load optimization software, which works out, it does all the work that we used to have to do manually before to work out what the best load is for a driver based on where he lives, where he's trying to get to, how many hours he has left in his hours of service, how close he is to the load, what the loading hours are, and everything like that. We try to get our drivers home every weekend, so work out the out of route mileage to take him home for the weekend. A lot of very good stuff, very clever stuff that's in the industry that when I started in this industry just didn't exist. We're very
Fascinating. You completely blew my mind with the piece about the air coming in and going out of the truck being cleaner than it was coming in. I'm gonna have to look more into that because that's fascinating. And I love that in terms of, stewardship and wanting to make sure that we're taking care of our planet and doing those things too. For any girls or women that might be watching this, transportation has typically been or traditionally been a more male dominated industry. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing or the industry in general, trying to help women and girls see themselves as somebody who could have a great career in transportation?
Yeah, I'm not a great believer in trying to put somebody into a position just because we don't have enough of that person in the position. I'm a believer in putting somebody into a position because that's a position that suits them. However, there's absolutely no reason why women can't be doing the jobs that typically guys have done for years. At TMC, we have a lot of women who are in advanced leadership positions in this company in all departments. Our road repair department, for example, is led by a woman, which is typically thought of as a man's job. That road repair department deals with all the breakdowns of trucks out on the road. Our customer service department is led by a woman. Our HR department is led by risk management, led by a woman. So we are definitely a very diverse company from that sense. Now, to get round to it, the supply chain management, which is one of the majors that attracts most people into the industry, is generally male dominated, and there is absolutely no reason for that, and we still can't quite figure out why. So one thing that TMC did to help promote it at Iowa State University was we did a photo shoot earlier on this year, and we made sure that we had more girls in the photos than we had guys, just so that people looking at those pictures don't think it's male dominated. And we're planning to do the same thing for the University of Wisconsin Whitewater as well, because they have the same thing. It's their supply chain program there is male dominated, and there's absolutely no reason it should be. I don't know. I think it's just not promoted properly, and I think that's the reason that they don't get enough girls applying for those positions. But there's no reason that their girls do the job just as great as guys, and we have the proof there in our leadership at TMC.
That's great. That's great to hear. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate the conversation about that visual representation as well, right? I always say, I heard somebody say once, you can't be what you don't see. So being able to see that and then being able to see yourself in that, I love that. If you had to, if you ask people maybe in different roles throughout your company, and Mandy, maybe you can give me a little insight on this from an HR perspective, what would people say that they really love about working in the transportation industry?
I can't say there's one specific thing. I've actually only been in the transportation industry for just a little over a year. I've done human resources and recruiting, but this industry is completely new to me as well. As I talk to people across the nation, they'll have had jobs in various other industries, career paths, and I'll be like, how did you get into transportation when it started? And all of them are kind of the same. They just somehow fell into it. Maybe a friend referred them, something like that. But once you're in it, you love it. There's just something about it. I don't know what it's like for Kenny. He's been doing it for a long time, but even in a year here, I can't see myself working outside of the transportation industry now. So I think it's fast paced. It offers a lot of challenges. Every day can be different. A lot of those things are what people look for in a job. They want that variety. They don't want to come and just have every day be the same thing over and over. And I think transportation offers a lot of excitement because of that, and it draws a lot of people in.
Kenny, would you agree, or what else would you add to that?
I think that the one thing that Mandy said is once you get into transportation, you rarely leave it again. You're there and you stay in transportation in one form or another. Or if you do leave it to go down a different career path, you come back to it. Transportation is something that's here. You know, everything that you own, everything that you see, everything that you touch every day is being transported, sometimes multiple times. And it's always going to need to get from where it's manufactured to where the end user is. And transportation is always going to be there. So it's a $150 billion industry in the US, and it's something that's here to stay.
That's great. One thing that is so important to everybody is to have a family sustaining wage and to be able to feel like you have a job and a career that you can grow in. Tell me why, you know, the transportation industry is that from an economic and career growth perspective.
Mandy, you want this one?
You know, from a standpoint of somebody looking to earn their wage, I think it goes back to a lot about the stability of the industry and the fact that the industry is going to keep growing. So because it's going to keep growing, you can keep growing with the company. So you get to continue growing your career, which, you know, is just going to open more opportunities, advancement. From an economic standpoint, I think just the fact that the industry is so stable provides such a stable position for someone to you know, base their livelihood off of.
That's great.
I would agree.
What do you think the hardest thing is about being in transportation? What's the biggest challenge that people face, whether it's the drivers or the people in the office?
Geography is one thing. We get a lot of people coming to work in the office, and obviously for drivers as well. They have to know their geography. We have mapping programs that will tell them where to go, but if you don't understand where you're going, then it's not a lot of help. The same thing goes in the office. I mean, you can stick Google Maps in there, but one thing that we really push hard is to teach people geography so that we can ask them without them looking at a computer, say, okay, we got a load from Iowa to South Carolina. Which states are you going to go through to get there? And people come in the door here and they don't know the answer to that, or some do, but not very many do. And then by the time people leave here, they do know the answer to that. So geography is a big thing.
Yeah, fascinating. Thinking, I'm just visualizing an atlas with the main, you know, highway and interstate routes running across it right now.
Yeah.
That's great. What, you know, Mandy, you had said that you just got into this industry a year ago, and Kenny, you've been in this industry for a while. What has being in transportation brought to your life, Kenny?
It's brought stability. It's brought, I mean, obviously, it's brought me a lot of money over the years as well. I mean, it's paid for me to be where I am now. But most of all, it's definitely a very stable job. Once you're in transportation, you have a job for life. I've owned several of my own companies over the years, transportation companies. I came to TMC in 2001, great company to work for, and I'm very happy here. I think, you know, just the knowledge that I've gained in transportation over the years is fantastic. I do my best to try to share that with other people. Just very happy to be in this business, and yeah, you have a job for life, I guess, is probably the biggest thing for me.
That's great. So like any industry, I'm sure in transportation that there are, you know, companies that really value their employees, and there are some that don't take as good of care of their employees. We just know that across the board. What advice would you give to a student who is maybe starting to look at different companies and look at options, knowing that a lot of transportation companies offer training or will send you to training and do those things, so the company can kind of be that place that you start? What advice would you give to people, knowing that you would want them to come check out TMC, but what advice would you give to students as they start to look at companies, things to consider?
Two things to consider, I think, in transportation. If you're going to, first of all, if you're going to do an internship, or even when you're going to take a full-time job, is ask about the training. There's too many internships out there where students aren't told what they're doing, why they're doing it. They aren't given meaningful work to do. They're basically the gopher person, or to do all the busy work. So one thing that we really concentrate on at TMC is making sure that anybody doing an internship, it is a fulfilling internship where they're doing real life work and learning about the company. Anybody that we have working in our shops, our appearance bays, anything that we do at all in this company, is if we don't give them the proper training, how can we expect them to uphold the standards that we want to have? And our standards are based on looking after our people, looking after our customers. Our customers are everybody from our people who work here to the customers who pay the bills. And we want to be as transparent as we can be with everybody. We want to have the best possible training. We want to get the best possible people here. We've been around for 50 years. If we want to be around for the next 50 years, we need people to come and take over from those that are retiring, leaving the company. The other thing, advice for students when they're interviewing for a job is ask those questions. When you go into an interview, make sure you've got 4 or 5 questions written down that you can ask the person who's interviewing you. And if the person that's interviewing doesn't appreciate you asking those questions, then you don't want to work there.
Great.
The other thing I would talk about as well is that before you ever sign a non-compete with any company, read it very carefully, and do not sign it there and then on the spot. Take it away with you and read it, or have somebody who has experience in that read it, because I've seen so many companies who will make people sign non-competes that are totally ridiculous, that basically put them out of the industry forever. Even if they fire them, they are done, for a year or 2 years in the industry, and it can ruin somebody's career.
That is great advice. Terrific. This has been wonderful. We have just about 1 more minute. Is there anything else that you want students to know about transportation?
Mandy.
Man, I think if there's any part of you that has any interest in it, give it a shot early on. I've had other jobs, been in any industries, and now that I'm here, I kind of wonder, I've spent all this other time not being in the industry. So learn about it, give it a try, do an internship. Maybe if you're with a company that's not the right company, like the industry, plenty of transportation companies. So if there's any part of you that thinks, wow, that's really interesting, try it.
Great advice. And one thing I love about being in Iowa and central Iowa is that we have such great employers who are willing to provide internships or talk on the phone with students or give a tour or a job shadow or those sorts of things. So we always encourage our students, if you're interested, ask. People in Des Moines, in Ames, in the metro area are happy and willing to talk with you, just like the 2 of you have been this morning. So that's our time. I want to thank you, Kenneth and Mandy, so much for the words of wisdom and the advice and your experience. This has been fantastic. So I'm going to stop the recording and say goodbye to you all, but thank you and have a wonderful day.
Can you share my information with Gail and Terry there as well, please?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.